You want your machete back? Shit, it's yours. Take it. Guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back.
Welcome to Monsters Conquer the World. I'm Matt. As always, I'm joined by Ralph.
Hi.
And this is a podcast where Ralph and I yak about monster stuff. A lot of times it's kaiju movies, but this time, thanks to our patron Shelly, we're covering 2002's Jason X.
Thank you, Shelly.
If this was a Mad Magazine parody, it would be Jason X. But it's not. Before we awkwardly back into our sleeping bags, let's give a quick thanks to our alluring and handsomely chiseled patrons. I'm talking about Chelsea. I'm talking about Shelley. I'm talking about Ricky. Your power levels are over 9,000.
Oh.
Did I do that right?
I don't know.
I
don't even know what you're referencing.
Is that the Dragon Ball?
Oh, yeah.
Cammy, hammy, hoo-poo,
I've never watched an episode of Dragon Ball.
Oh, good.
Yeah. But
I thought you did. That's why I referenced that.
I listened to a two-part podcast on what Dragon Ball Z is, and then I play Dragon Ball Fighters.
I heard the game is really good.
The game is amazing. Yeah. It's one of the better fighting games I've ever played.
Nice.
And they play it at EVO every year, you know. But what were we talking about? Jason X?
J-Songs.
Yeah. Okay. So we got some thoughts on this movie.
It's the greatest film of the past 200 years.
It's really, I like it a lot. It's, the word is controversial or...
Sure.
Among fans of Friday the 13th movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say if you're not a slasher or Friday the 13th fan, it is not controversial because there's a very good chance that you just think it's a big turd.
Yep.
But that's wrong. It's not a big turd. Well, I mean, it is a big turd, but it's a good big turd.
It's a good spicy turd. Yeah.
It's a turd you can really sink your teeth into.
It's got layers.
Oh, yeah. You hit a corn in there, forget it.
Yeah.
It's a really fun movie. It's not a good movie, but it's very fun.
Yeah, it is. It's fun, and it's we were talking about it already. There's some parts that make you just kind of grimace.
Yes.
Like some lines, but mostly it is a lot of it's a good time. A really good time.
We'll get into it. But it's Jason in space.
Yeah, it's Jason in space. And I'll say up front, I don't think that it would be fun if it didn't have the 9 other movies before it.
I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting late sequel, and you need that legacy in place before you earn something like this.
Yeah. I was watching clips just to get myself in the right mood before we did this, and sort of just remind myself of the aura of Jason X because it's unique.
Yes,
and I thought this is the way that you should cap off this whole series, but as a standalone movie, it's not great.
It would not be.
Yeah,
some
of these Friday the 13th movies you can jump in. Wherever, you could just watch 4 and be like, whoa, I should check out the rest of these.
Fuck yeah.
But if you watch Jason X only, you're not going to want to watch the rest.
Why were there 10 of these made?
Right. But in the context of 10 movies, I think it's really cool.
And that comes into play. There are little Easter eggs and kind of in-jokes and things that wink at the history of the franchise, like the return of the sleeping bag kill and all these little kind of nuggets for people who are well-versed in the franchise. I think you're absolutely right. This is a franchise capper. It can't really stand alone.
Right.
In a sense, to tie this into kaiju shit, because that's how my brain is wired, this is sort of akin to Godzilla Final Wars, which is also a big, spastic, not technically good, but very fun movie that takes, fucking 30 movies worth of lore and kind of plays around with it and mashes it together in interesting ways.
Okay, we need to watch that one.
We do. It's
pretty soon. Yeah.
Yes. Sooner than later. Ralph, do you want to hear some facts
I do.
about Jason X? Kind of the beat sheet.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know who made this thing?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
let's go down the list.
Well, I'll act like I don't know, and then you can tell me.
That's the magic of podcasts.
This
you
one
don't know that Ralph read this shit.
Yeah, this is fun because this is more in my wheelhouse than the usual fare.
Yes. This is something you've encountered in the wild before we started having a podcast.
So this is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is directed by Jim Isaac, who it was mostly a special effects guy. He worked on Return of the Jedi, Gremlins, Arachnophobia. The only other like major directing credit I could find was a movie called Skinwalkers, which I think is like a mid-2000s werewolf movie.
Okay.
This is Kane Hodder's fourth and final appearance as Jason. He is the best Jason.
Yeah, I think so.
I fucking love that dude so much. He brings this like energy to Jason where you can like the rage is palpable and it's in every movement.
He said that they knew that it was going to be kind of a comedy because it's after Scream.
Yeah.
This is just post Scream. So like they wrote the script and Scream came out and then they went like, well, should we like poke fun at horror now? Like, is that what we're supposed to do? And everyone else was kind of lurching toward comedy, and he said, I'm just going to play it straight. Like, you guys do whatever you're going to do, but I'm going to be Jason. Like, I'm not going to do this comedy shit. So I think that adds to it quite a bit.
I think that's a perfect approach.
Yeah, he ended up being the straight man, really.
Yeah. Well, and he's like I don't know if he was actually top billed, but he's like the biggest name actor in the movie, which is extremely cool to me.
Besides David Cronenberg.
Right, yeah. David Cronenberg's 5 minutes before he gets hilariously murdered. But no, I think if you're gonna make a kind of silly Jason, especially in a post-Scream world, which it's crazy to think about how much Scream fucking flipped everything upside down, and everybody in Horrorland was like chasing those Scream dollars, like we gotta be meta, right?
And immediately, and
yeah.
it wasn't even that. Like I think that the executives wanted it. No, the executives decided to flip everything immediately, and people weren't actually processing Scream as like this big, gigantic, game-changing movie. You know, like it did in the end achieve that goal of like poking fun at horror and everything like that, but there were still just like horror fans who wanted horror movies.
Yeah.
Like they didn't care that Scream came out and made fun of everything.
I think there's a pretty huge contingent of fans that are like, I don't like the meta stuff. Like, I just want to see a horror movie. I don't need to see a fucking, ooh, we're goofing on it.
Right.
Aren't tropes and cliches so stupid? And it's like, I actually get both mindsets.
I do too. I think you can do either one right.
Yes.
What is the latest Rob Zombie movie? It was like a number, like the 31. 31.
Yeah.
I started to watch that, and it was just so obvious.
Was it trash? Was it bad?
Look, I didn't get through it. So I don't know really, but like I don't know. It was just that mood that I was in. I wasn't willing to put up with a bunch of people in a van, just like really way too self-aware.
Yes.
Like, oh well, we've done this. Young people in a van.
Yeah.
In the 60s a billion times. So.
It rings very false, and it's very clear that the writer, it's just the writer thinking they're very clever.
Right.
Like these ridiculous, and I'm using frantic air quotes, these ridiculous one-liners where it's just this terrible, clunky, the weird mental gymnastics that had to occur to make a character spew out this sequence of words because the writer thinks it's funny. There's
Yeah.
a couple in Jason X, but the one
That's
that
true.
the one that really made me shit out my skeleton was that a hole is punctured in the hull of the ship, and people are getting sucked out, and the girl says, "This sucks on so many levels," and it's
that's a
just
bad
like,
one.
oh, I died from that one.
We didn't say it after we were recording, right? But they make a Star Wars reference when oh, hey baby, hold together.
It's
Like,
and
we all know what Star Wars is, and we knew it back then.
yes, the writer fucking broke his or her arm, it's a guy. It's a boy.
Todd Farmer.
Todd Farmer broke his fucking arm patting himself on the back over that one.
He's in the movie.
I didn't realize that until after the fact.
Yeah, he's the bald guy in the movie.
Yeah.
He's not bad. He's not the worst actor in the movie.
No.
When I did my research, it was primarily like Todd Farmer related because he's like really stoked to talk about this movie for whatever reason. I mean, whatever.
It's interesting looking at the development of this movie because it was kind of like quickly crapped out just to keep Jason awareness up while they still worked on Freddy versus Jason. They're like, hey, don't forget Jason's a thing because Freddy vs. Jason was in development hell since like the early 90s, I guess. They had been trying to do that shit for years, and it didn't actually come out until like 2004,
right?
I think. And so this was, again, to tie it back in with Godzilla, Ralph.
Okay, we gotta, I guess.
It's very like there's the mid 90s Godzilla movies get kind of progressively ridiculous because they're just trying to fill time before the American one comes out.
Yeah.
So that's when you get Godzilla versus Space Godzilla as my favorite example of a real movie that was made.
And now there is some kind of deal with Godzilla where like Toho movies can't come out anywhere near American movies. Is that right?
Yeah,
or
they
Legendary has.
They have to stagger them. That's why Shin Godzilla came out in 2016, and I think it either doesn't apply to the anime Godzillas or even the anime Godzillas were staggered in such a way that they didn't really step on the legendary stuff because those came out between like 2017 and 2018.
And with this one, with Jason, the deal is that New Line gets to use Jason, but they can't use the Friday the 13th name.
Yes, which is why the movie prior to this is called Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday.
Right. And I don't mind that, like, because I was calling them Jason movies for a long time anyway, and I still do.
Yeah, everybody does, right?
Most people do,
right?
But I mean, there's more movies at this point that are Jason movies than there are. Like, if you really think about it, there's like 9 movies with Jason in it. As a main
I see what
character.
You're saying. Right? Yeah, he's usually the guy.
And you've got 8 Friday the 13th movies.
Right.
Oh. But neither here nor there. I don't really care what you call it.
Yeah.
It's fun to argue, but
I think that's just an interest. The legal battles over this shit is like interesting to me. It's like how we have King Kong shit coming out, but they can't call it King Kong because like there was Kong Skull Island.
Is that why it's just Kong?
I think so. There's dude, it's a whole weird can of worms to try and like unearth everything because like I think in some ways he's public domain, but like I think Universal like owns the phrase King Kong maybe.
Oh.
It's fucking weird, man. It's fascinating to me.
I would like to look into that because that sounds like
I would like
to know.
Yeah, I'd like to know the ins and outs of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Friday the 13th franchise has all kinds of weird shit going on because there's the name thing, but then also there's this like protracted legal battle. Mm-hmm. Remember with the game, like the rights to the game, there's all this infighting because they can't decide who gets the money for what or something.
Well, and they can't use the Uber Jason or
right.
Although I saw a video today of someone who actually had an Uber Jason skin somehow.
Maybe it's probably a modded PC version. Is my bet.
Is that game on PC?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Because it was someone else playing the game who saw another person as Jason and it was Uber Jason.
Right.
And like they didn't have the skin or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know how that all works. But
I'd fucking okay with vis-a-vis the Friday the 13th game. I would love to see Uber Jason, but I feel like if you have Uber Jason, then you have to have the spaceship as a map, right?
Yeah, you would, and
then you need
Uber Jason would just walk through everybody. Like that's the thing. Uber Jason being or this movie rather, not just Uber Jason, being so much of an alien ripoff type thing.
Yes.
Yeah, like it had to be an unstoppable Jason at some point because Alien is totally unstoppable.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I just mean like aesthetically, Uber Jason walking around, Camp Crystal Lake in 1981 would be very strange to me. Like I see Uber Jason, I'm like, that's a thing that walks down a high-tech corridor and not through the forest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a nice juxtaposition.
Yeah. And then if you have a level that's a high-tech corridor, then you can't have regular 80s teens. You need quote unquote future teens that are wearing like cut up IKEA rugs as shirts.
Right.
Because holy shit, I fucking love
costume
future
design.
Fashion in anything. It's always the best. Like Star Trek is really good at that too. Like it's delicious to me.
Some weird clothes in this movie. Very bright, and I didn't realize the first like 2 or 3 times that I saw this that they were actually teens.
Yeah, they're college kids, so they're like 20.
They're
tops.
Students. Yeah.
Yep.
And then they were with Marines on the ship.
Yes.
So it kind of sends weird signals because we usually don't mix our students and our Marines.
Typically, no.
These days.
Well, I guess, I don't know, at Eastern Michigan University, name drop, we had like the ROTC.
Well,
so are these commandos like space ROTC or?
No, they were like career Marines, like to protect the students, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're like the staff that's assigned to the ship.
Yeah, because you have to have actual people to
run the ship.
Run the thing. Yeah.
It's there's so much to unpack. It's so good.
I know it's called a xenomorph. I know I called it alien, like capital A.
Sure.
I know it's a xenomorph.
I mean,
I'm just saying, if some random person hears this, don't email us.
Actually, it's the xenomorph.
Yes. Okay. Moving along. You got a note we can use?
No, that's it. That's all my notes.
Well, we just got a riff then.
This is it. We're done. No, dude.
I'm out of my stuff.
I'm just playing. No, man, I'm going through the fact sheet still.
Yeah.
So we did name drop our boy Todd Farmer. The only credits of his that I recognized outside of Jason X were My Bloody Valentine 3D, which I have never seen, but also Drive Angry, which I also haven't seen, but
Drive Angry.
If you make an over-the-top Nick Cage movie, you kind of have my attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want to see Drive Angry. Just because I haven't yet doesn't mean I was avoiding it.
No.
I fucking live for a good scenery-chewing, batshit Nick Cage performance. Like, that's...
Yeah. I haven't seen The Weatherman either, and I really want to see that.
Well, that's, like, actually a good one, right?
Is it? I heard not so much.
I'm probably thinking of, like, Matchstick Men.
Matchstick Men is good.
Nick Cage is such a fascinating actor to follow because most of his films are Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs garbage. But then, like, every third or fourth one is like, oh, that's like a classic film. He's a good actor.
Yeah, he goes
he calls
I'm gonna have to collect my thoughts.
He calls it mega acting. When he does the crazy and the yelling and the screaming and the weird movements, it's this thing that he has dubbed mega acting, and I love it so fucking much, and it makes me want to hang out with Nick Cage because he seems cool.
Yeah, like when I read stories about him not in these acting situations, he seems like an okay guy.
Oh, sure.
He seems like kind of cool and knows what he is.
Yes.
And maybe not quite as bad with money as you might think.
Ooh.
Based on his
He did buy a dinosaur skull. Is that correct?
He did,
which doesn't strike me as a great investment.
But I had heard that he was sort of intentionally trying to bankrupt himself for tax reasons.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I also heard that his accountant told him not to buy a albino snake, and he did anyway. I don't know.
I mean, if
He's
you're
an
Nick,
interesting character.
If you're Nick Cage and you want a goddamn albino snake,
yeah,
you're gonna buy an albino snake.
I think he bought 2. But yeah.
Fuck you, accountant. Look what I got. And to be fair, I would like. Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if Meryl Streep was this kind of crazy?
No,
you don't think so?
She should just be what she is.
I mean, I love Meryl Streep as is, but I just guess like I don't know.
Maybe like in a few years.
Yeah. I would like to see her go fuck it.
I mean, she's won more Oscars than Nick Cage ever will.
Oh yeah, by
so
a mile.
She's really got to hold it together.
You think so? You don't think she's earned like, X amount of crazy bucks that she can spend on being crazy? I want her to cash in those crazy bucks.
She could, but I think we also need like a celebrity that like holds it together.
Insane dog shit. That's a fair point, Ralph.
Just one.
And Meryl, I'm sorry, but apparently it has to be you.
Yeah.
You cannot cash in your crazy bucks.
Yeah.
Maybe. We don't know how many albino snakes she wants, Ralph. Henry Manfredini came back for the music, which his scores for these movies I am fucking crazy about. I mean, he invented the like that's him, man. His end credits music for Friday the 13th Part 3. If you've never heard it before, please look it up because it is some buck wild disco bullshit that is so unfitting for like a horror movie, but it slaps.
Yeah.
It's a banger. Ralph, would you be willing to put in like a couple seconds of that?
Yes, I can do that.
Awesome.
Right here.
It may not surprise you, Ralph, that Jason X doesn't have a particularly high Rotten Tomatoes score.
17, I think.
You're lowballing it, Ralph. It's 19.
19. Yes.
But the audience is a little more level-headed about the film and kind of recognizes what it is, putting it at a much higher 25.
Here's the thing. I kind of agree.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I said, from a broader standpoint, it's not a great movie, but for me, it's a great movie.
Yes. There are like you have to go into this with the right expectations and the right frame of mind. This should not be your first Friday the 13th movie. It shouldn't be your first slasher movie.
They set out to do something very different, and they did that.
Yes.
But I kind of get the feeling that their entire idea was let's do something very different from the other Friday the 13th. And that was the end. That was the end of the ideas. And then they were just like, well, I know that they threw out a bunch of different ideas.
I was looking at that.
What they should do with Jason, and they just landed on space. Let's just do space.
Yep. Because that's what you do after a while when your slasher series is like out of gas.
And you kind of go through like Todd Farmer. He threw in when he named people, he just named them after people in EverQuest.
Yes.
They're named
I saw that.
We're okay.
Well, I think his character is named after Dallas from Alien, or a character is named Dallas.
What was his character name?
Dallas.
It was Dallas.
Yeah, and that's Tom Skerritt in Alien.
Yeah, like there's Alien references, and then there's like EverQuest, which is just such a weird thing to throw in there.
Well, that's just I need a name. Here's a name.
They constantly rewrote it after the fact, so whatever he wrote the first time, maybe he had like a solid idea at first, and they just kept doing it.
It's crazy to me that this movie had any rewrites because it's like you're ripping off Alien with Jason. Just do that. Like, how is that so hard?
And apparently it was constant, and they like they rehearsed for a month on a script that was rewritten when they got there.
That just didn't exist anymore.
Right.
Because they wanted to do a really good job with the acting. They're like, let's fucking blow this out. And then they can't because their lines aren't their lines anymore.
Right. So what do you do in that situation? It's like when we were talking about green screen. It's like, well, you're just undercutting your actors.
Yep.
Like you're taking half of the tools that they have at their disposal away from them.
Yep. Yeah, you're hamstringing your whole cast.
Right. I mean, it's still, under the circumstances, they did well.
Yeah.
All of the effects look great.
Really fun kills. Surprisingly decent CGI for an early 2000s slasher.
Yeah.
I thought.
And as bright as it is, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks like an old, like a 90s, late 90s TV show.
It looks like Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, it looks
a lot with
I'd
the
say
garish colors and
Deep Space Nine or Buffy or like anything from that era. But it's a feature film, so I usually expect a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah. The production values in general have this very, like you said, late 90s TV. I know I just said like, oh, Henry Manfredini came back for the music and I love his stuff. I don't really love it here because it's like these bad synths. That are, it's not great. And yeah, we have this whole cast of Toronto-based actors, which is wonderful. And I think like half of them went on to be in Andromeda, which is like a C-grade Star Trek knockoff.
Right.
Not to fucking fire shots at Andromeda. I don't know if that's somebody's jam or not, but Andromeda to me was always like 2 steps under like Babylon 5, and even that was a couple steps under Star Trek.
Oh, man.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm spitting fire here. I don't mean to.
A lot of things are under Star Trek though. Like if you try to make something like it, you're not going to get there.
Right, it's going to be a couple notches below. Like a Stargate, the TV show, always kind of was a couple notches under Star Trek to me.
Thankfully, Stargate did try to be pretty different from Star Trek. It
They
had
did.
a whole different vibe.
I'd totally give them props for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they had a whole different thing going on. But yeah, so all things considered, the budget for this movie was between $11 and $14 million. And then with Hollywood math, we know that's actually more like $22 to $28 million.
Right.
Accounting for like, not merchandising, but marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
And then in the box office, do you want to guess how much it made?
It made, I'm guessing, $3 million.
You're lowballing it again.
Oh,
It made a
okay.
big old 17 mil, which is still not great, but there was like a humorously defensive trivia nugget on IMDb that said, well, if you account for DVD sales, it tripled its budget, making it one of the most financially successful Friday the 13th movies of all time. Which I feel like Todd Farmer wrote that.
Yeah, like he went and typed.
It made a lot of money on rentals.
Fucking furious right now. I believe it though.
Yeah,
because it is kind of like a slow burn. I could imagine going to the theater and expecting something more like what I'm used to.
Yeah,
and getting this, and it's bright. Colorful.
That is a really
robotic,
good point.
Like, yeah,
it coming from a franchise that is famous for like spooky treks through the dark woods.
Yeah,
and then going to this like
you can see
brightly
everything.
lit corridors. Yeah, it's a little shocking.
You see what's coming, and that was something they actually wanted to do with the movie, was put people in a situation where they actually knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Like have, usually Jason sneaks up on people, puts the arrow through the bed and all that stuff. Like they have no idea what they're fighting against. And in this, it's like, so there's a character there who has already dealt with Jason.
Yeah.
She wakes up and is dealing with other people trying to tell them, this is what Jason is, this is what he does, and they all believe her.
Yeah.
No one's like, what?
No
They're
way.
like, no, like, this is Jason. This is what he does, and we have to try to kill him. And they actually do kill him.
Yeah.
And then he just comes back.
Because Jason's gonna Jason.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brodsky kills him, who is this great badass kind of character.
Yeah,
and
the
he reminded
lady
me,
android.
well, that's KM-14. Brodsky is the commando
Oh, okay, never mind.
that kind of takes him out first, and then KM fucks him up later.
Well, she like blows his head off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right.
Legit, yeah.
She does. Yeah.
His
She knocks
head
him onto
explodes.
the. Yeah. It's awesome.
And the only reason that he comes back is nanomachines.
Yeah. There's like good ideas in this movie. Like
There's some great ideas.
there's some
Yeah.
cool shit in this flick. Like it opens with. We were talking about this before we started recording, but the prologue to this movie is badass. Like it takes place in the quote unquote near future, 2010.
Mhm.
The U.S. government has built a top secret research facility around Jason at Crystal Lake. They've got him chained up. They've got him on lockdown, but they don't want to kill him because, hey, it's an invincible guy. Like, let's figure out what this dude's whole deal
Yeah.
is.
The
And
line was, I don't want him frozen, I want him soft.
I want him soft. Which I think, and David Cronenberg's character
Yeah.
gets to say that, right?
He wrote all his own lines.
That's very fitting for
Yeah.
Mr. Body Horror
Right,
himself.
yeah.
I want him real gooshy.
I want him soft.
Oh yeah, warm and squishy.
He's great though.
He
He's
is.
good in this movie.
He kills it. Yet another delightful Canadian in the cast. I was really happy with the guards there's one guard watching Jason, one schmuck who has this terrible job.
Who is 19? Something? 20?
Tops, right? Yeah. And he's like, he's sick of this ghoul staring at him, so he gets this shitty rug and throws it over Jason.
Yeah.
But right before he does, he has this great line. Why don't you stare at that for a while, bastard?
Why don't you stare at this for a little while, you ugly bastard?
And it's the most Canadian delivery of a line possible.
Yep.
To the point where it sounds like the guy didn't want to swear.
Yeah, like they had a 10-minute argument before. Do I have to swear?
Can I not swear? I think my Nana is going to see this, and I know she would be cross with me if I cursed.
Bastard.
He comes off as a very sweet boy.
Yes.
Which is, it's such a shame when he...
Surprise! He didn't make it! Can you believe it?
Yeah.
David
Yeah,
Cronenberg doesn't make it.
No, Cronenberg doesn't make it. No one in that scene
That
makes
whole
it
crew gets
besides
iced.
the main lady.
Rowan, yes.
Rowan.
Yep.
Yes. And I don't know. She's good. She's good
She is.
leading lead.
She's got that
Leading
great
lead.
leading lead. She's got that great final girl energy without being the traditional final girl. She's like a special agent with the FBI or some shit.
Well, she's not doing any fucking. So it's like, which is cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you said, they had a. You said that earlier that they had a male lead.
They even cast an actor to play him.
Right, and they cut him.
At the very last seconds, they're like, "Oh, this character does nothing and makes no sense."
Right. One of the things that the writer said was he personally enjoyed that every single Friday the 13th is different. And I fully
That's a
agree
fair
with
point.
that.
Yeah.
Because like you've got the first one being the mom, the second one being Bagman, third one's in 3D, fourth one is Corey Feldman. Fifth one we've got he's dead actually.
A copycat, yeah.
Copycat. We got sixth one, he comes back and it's become, on and on. The Psychic, the Manhattan.
It's so
You know,
good.
like,
It's such
every
a good,
one of them.
It's such a good franchise, and yeah, they mix it up every time, and they build off each other. Because when it starts at the beginning of the Friday the 13th franchise, Jason is just a dead little boy.
Yep.
And then
And it's just sad. It's just a sad movie about a dead little boy that was
it's fucking tragic.
handicapped.
And his mom went nuts.
Yeah.
By the end of the franchise,
Disabled.
he is I think Pamela Voorhees was nuts. If you start stabbing
Yes.
people, you
Yes.
are cray cray.
Right.
But maybe that's not okay.
I meant Jason, not Pamela.
Yes.
No.
No, yeah, it's a fucking bummer.
She's a freaking nut.
She is
Yeah.
a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That bitch bad news.
Yeah.
But then, by the end of the franchise, Jason's a fucking cyborg with superpowers.
Right.
And
I
it's
love
awesome.
that it goes to that extreme. It goes fully as far as it can go.
Yes.
And then they say, we're done.
This is
We're
it.
going to do Freddy versus Jason now, or yeah. And
The crazy thing to me is that path for Jason feels organic.
it does, because it did incrementally get crazier.
Yes.
I mean, in 7,
I love
there's
Seven.
a psychic.
Yeah, dude. It's badass. I love that
Or
one.
someone with telekinesis.
Yep.
And I don't know, 8, they barely put him in the movie, and the scariest thing in the movie is like a rape scene. Like they shoot her up with heroin, and then they're gonna rape her. You remember
shit.
that part?
I forgot about that.
How would you forget about that?
I don't know. Maybe I blocked it
That's-
because it's too real.
It is. It's totally just like, oh no,
Ugh.
like real life stuff. And
Yeah.
Jason is kind of the hero because
He stops that.
he kills the guy who starts to do that.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because when they were kicking around their Jason goes to blank
Yeah.
before they landed on space, I know one of them was Jason versus gangs in LA,
Oh wow.
which is very like Predator 2 of them, and might have been sweet or
That
might have been very
wouldn't-
bad.
Guarantee it would not have aged well.
No,
So-
probably not.
But 9 legitimately not having Jason in it. Like,
Yeah,
he's
9
just jumping bodies.
Yeah, I like 9 as a horror movie, but as a Friday the 13th Jason movie, it's I don't know. That one's a little loosey goosey for me.
I like it. But
It's a
it is
cool
a different
movie.
beast.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is literally a different
Yeah.
beast. It is little goo worms that like
But-
body hop and shit.
With this one, you can't go any farther than this.
No, they did fully jump as far as you can. Like I have yet to see any slasher top this. I feel like Leprechaun was kind of the trailblazer, where they're like, okay, we did like 3 normal Leprechaun movies. Let's send them to the hood. Now let's send them to space. Let's send them back to the hood. And since
Yeah.
Leprechaun didn't get any further than double dipping on the hood, like nobody else knows what to do. Some brave soul, perhaps us, needs to write Leprechaun part ?6, where he time travels, right? Because that's
Yeah.
the last thing you can really do.
What if there was Jason 11 was like prequel to the whole thing, where Jason's a little boy and it's just like a drama where a mother loses a child. It's like actual horror.
That would be fucking awesome. That'd
Yeah.
be so good.
It
It would just be this,
played it
tragedy.
straight.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not
Yep.
even a horror movie. It's just
just it would just be
and it
Pam
would be Pamela
losing her grip on reality
Yeah.
in the wake of her son's tragic and senseless death.
Yeah, leading right up. You could even do this sort of thing that you did with Split and not really tell anybody what it
Yeah.
is, and just make a drama that is a lead up to
Yeah,
the first Friday the 13th.
that would fucking rule. That would be good.
Yeah.
It would be like not Event Horizon. What is the wonderful slasher franchise where the slasher is fate? I can't think of the name of it right now. Final Destination.
Oh,
Like how the Final Destination
right.
was
Yeah.
technically a prequel.
that's
that shit
true. Yeah.
ruled.
yeah.
Yes, I would love if Jason 11 was a heartbreaking family drama.
That's all I could think that you could do to get it to get another movie, squeeze another movie out
Right.
of the initial run.
Right. Or
And you could get around the whole Jason legal
yeah.
thing.
No, yeah, you call it something else.
Right.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Well, I would maintain that I would love to see Jason doing some time traveling.
Okay. You could do that
Which
too. Yeah.
could lead into this prequel idea if you think about it. Yeah,
It could.
right? Ralph,
What?
Jason travels through time, right? He kills Hitler. He, I don't know, does other time travel things, stabs a dinosaur, I guess.
Yeah.
Then his final jump is to a very familiar place. And there's a boy there. And for some reason, something calls to adult horrible zombie Jason that says, drown that fucking kid.
Oh.
And he killed himself, kicking the whole thing off.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's the end of BioShock Infinite.
Cool. Okay.
But it's a
Guess
really
I don't need to
good
play
ending.
that one.
Yeah.
Wah, wah. Matt waited too
was
long
you.
to play that game.
That's an old game, Matt.
It is.
Yeah.
It
I
is.
can spoil that one.
It's like 10 years old
Yeah.
now. Whoops.
That actually doesn't really ruin much. It ruins everything, actually. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. With a video game, you still have the fun of like running around
Playing
and
the
playing the
game.
game. It's just
not-
the narrative will
Yeah.
not be that exciting.
It's
which
not
is
it.
fine.
Speaking of spoilers, though,
Oh boy.
the writer was also mad that they put Uber Jason on the poster.
Yeah.
Now,
Which is a fair point. Like if you wanted that to be your twist,
if you wanted it to be your twist, yeah.
that sucks.
Now, his comparison or his justification for being mad was, would you put the penis on the poster for the Crying Game?
Wow.
Now, I have an issue with that. Like, you know, if you would have just said, yeah, I was kind of upset because they did that. But now you've made it, like, you've compared Jason X to the Crying Game. So, like...
I mean, exactly equal in terms of importance and quality, right?
Now, now, like, for me, really, I don't fully agree with that being a problem to put him on the poster because I consider Uber Jason to be a feature, not a twist.
Absolutely.
Like, it is a kind of a twist, and it's kind of cool that happens, but it's not like, shock and awe. It's
Right.
like, no, we've done this a billion times. We know he always comes back.
Well, and
I want to know that he's going to be a robot.
right.
That's what gets me in the seat.
That's a butts in seats
Yeah.
thing. Like you need to tell potential viewers that. Otherwise, they might not have shown up.
Right.
Well, wasn't the tagline for the movie "Evil gets an upgrade"?
Right, and I think he was mad about that too, but...
Sure, but that's one of the best taglines of all time, and I reference that too much in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Blank gets an upgrade. Yeah, no, it's fucking great. It's very funny and early 2000s of them to call this new Jason Uber Jason. Do you
Right.
remember when Uber was getting thrown around a lot? It's like,
Or a
oh
lot.
wow, look at this Uber slice of pizza I got.
Uh-huh.
Like I remember hearing that a lot in college. This is a very nostalgic movie for me.
Yeah, the whole thing of like I said, like it reminds me of Buffy.
Yes.
Like just that whole era of TV.
Yes,
I didn't even watch Buffy back then, but it just looks like TV then.
Absolutely. And the snarky, self-aware
Yeah.
people in a supernatural situation is very, very Buffy.
I'm wondering if I was watching any TV back then. What the hell was I watching?
What were you watching, Ralph? I know I would have been
don't
watching South
know.
Park.
Oh, yeah, well, I wasn't probably, but I
Yeah.
should have been. I was
Uh,
probably watching wrestling or something.
Well, fuck.
2001.
2001? Yeah, you should have
Yeah.
been I should have been watching wrestling.
Yeah, I
that was
think
still
that's
the
probably-
primo shit.
Primarily, that would have been what I was watching, I think.
Understandable, my dude.
Yeah, at that time?
Fuck yeah, I wish I was watching it.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Uh-huh.
Should we kind of go through the story beats, or should we just jump into like thoughts and observations and stuff? What do you think?
Let's just do thoughts and observations.
Cool.
We're already
'Cause-
45 minutes in.
Oh shit!
And I
wow.
think people know, you know,
Guess what,
how
guys?
this is
It's
gonna
a
roll.
slasher movie.
yeah,
The guy shows up and murders people.
slasher movie in space. There is some cool features, though. I mean, everybody has to mention the cryo freeze.
It's one of the-
smash,
it's-
space smash.
It's one of the best slasher kills of all time.
Right.
I don't know. You just can't beat it. I love that Mythbusters actually did a bit about that, and they found that if you dunked a head for that amount of time, it wouldn't be enough for it to shatter like that,
Uh-huh.
it'd still fucking kill you.
Yeah, it would kill you, yeah.
But it wouldn't be this wonderful spray of red Slurpee,
Right.
like it is in the movie. And also of note, on the Mythbusters episode, they call the film Jason 10,
No.
which, like, hearing that hurt my ears in such a, like, no, wow.
Jason 10?
Jason 10?
No one's ever called it that.
No one. It's like they're the Mythbusters. They're supposed to be like quote unquote nerds. And
I
it's like,
listened to an interview with the writer that was over an hour long, and I listened to all the commentary with the writer and the director. They all fucking called it Jason X.
it's almost like that's the name of the movie.
It is.
It just reminds me of, there was another Mythbuster. I don't even think it was officially a Mythbusters thing, but one of the guys from Mythbusters, the redhead,
Yeah.
he was like looking at some cool movie props because he's a big movie prop guy. And it was the slime blower from Ghostbusters 2. You'll recall that Jess and I are pretty big Ghostbusters fans.
Yep.
So when he said that was in the first movie, I think we both just like hit the X button immediately. That was in the second fucking movie, you piece of shit.
Oh, come on.
But it's just
Yeah,
funny
yeah.
because this guy who's like, I'm a big nerd for movie props. I think this slime blower was in Star Trek 3. Get the fuck out of here. He
Yeah.
didn't actually say it's from Star Trek. I was exaggerating for humorous
still,
intent. But
yeah.
Jason 10.
It's funny the things that get people going, you know?
Yeah. And I suppose the fact that got
I have a
me
couple
going.
Yeah, I have a couple myself where I'm just like really irrationally just like, fuck you.
Right. Yes. Yeah. We all
You're
have
so stupid.
we all have those, right?
Yeah.
We've all got a thing or two where it's
Yeah.
like, come on, dog.
And it's like totally reasonable. Like it's from Ghostbusters 1 or 2. Like that's not that crazy. But yeah, I know.
The slime
I
blowers
know.
are from 2.
I have yelled at many a screen.
I think it's specifically because he's like, I'm the movie props
Oh yeah,
man.
I'm the guy.
I'm the guy who knows all the movie props.
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't kick it off with that, I would be like, yeah, whatever. You don't know.
Well, you don't have to watch them to make them, do you?
You don't. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Ralph.
Especially that. Is that the really dry one? Or is that the guy with a little more...
He's got a little more pizzazz. The really dry one looks
yeah.
like a walrus.
Yeah, I forget their name. I used to watch it and I forgot their names.
One of them is called Jamie. And the other one's Adam Savage. Jamie is the walrus.
Yeah.
Adam Savage is the guy who says he's a nerd and then doesn't know what props are from Ghostbusters 1 or 2.
He's... I don't know. He made an airplane out of duct tape.
Yeah,
so I
no,
give him a pass.
He's a much smarter and much more successful person than I will ever
right.
be. So this shade that I'm throwing is mostly in jest.
That's okay. Like I said, I fucking scream at my TV. Yeah.
Everybody does. There's got to be one thing where you go like, that's fucking wrong.
Yep.
I think like
wait.
scientists and people who work in like the medical field must do that a lot with TV and movies.
Oh yeah, and I don't work in either of those fields, but it's like I still get pissed off at the scientists in movies.
I was really bummed in Godzilla King of the Monsters when one of the like end of the world things that they mentioned was overpopulation. It's like, dog, overpopulation ain't it.
Yeah,
like,
it's not.
That's a whole can of worms.
I actually totally forgot that they did that. But yeah, the whole overpopulation argument kind of.
It's a little racist, and
I don't want to get into the weeds on that. But
there's a lot of baggage on that one,
like
specifically.
I don't like it. How about that?
Don't
I don't
use
like
it.
that argument.
There's other things, and they name drop.
You don't want
other
to tell
things,
people
too.
they shouldn't have kids.
Yep. Yeah, it's not a good look.
Because then you're gonna get it talking about who should have kids.
Yep.
Don't do it. Anywho, Jason X.
Jason X does not. Well, Jason X does take place in a future where our Earth 1 has been ruined, but they do not ever name drop overpopulation. It's just like a garbage wasteland.
We know that we're gonna ruin this place, so like all our fiction is just like, yeah, we got to move on.
Yep. Yeah. Well, they live on Earth 2, creatively named.
Yeah.
But I like that
There was a show called Earth 2.
there sure was.
That? Yeah.
I do remember that.
It was like what was that, around for 3 weeks or something? They canceled that real fucking quick.
And it makes me think of like, do you remember Space 1999?
No.
Yeah, well, because it lasted for 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kind of like Earth 2.
Yeah.
So in this world, the whole brouhaha happens at the Crystal Lake facility. Jason kills a bunch of people. Rowan, our badass, not quite final girl, gets him into the cryo chamber, locks him in there. Mm-hmm. But Jason got a Jason, so he stabs the door, freezing her too. Mm-hmm. So Jason and Rowan are froze. And then we jump 455 years in the future, which is such a fantastically arbitrary number of years to jump, and it's a lot. And I like that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's good, right?
I'm sure if you talk to the people who wrote it, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, well we chose 425." It's no, they just. 455? That sound good? Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's move on.
But I like that because like. You and I could imagine in 500 years, maybe we did master space travel and colonize another planet. Yeah. Like that's a good window of time.
Honestly, I think they probably chose it in comparison to something like a Star Trek, like saying, oh, well, this is 300 years in the future, so we're going to be 455 in the future. You know?
We'll do a little further.
We'll just add another 150 or whatever.
Why not?
Is it 300 Star Trek? It's like 24 something, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's not
starting with TOS, and then by the time you get later on, it's like next gen. I think is like 70 or 80 years later.
So it's actually like kind of right where next gen would be.
Yeah,
yeah.
No, okay. and that's actually it's like jarring and seems pointless when they first introduced it. Like in my notes, I put LOL after jump to 2455, but like. I kind of put that in the there's two buckets for Jason X, right? There's like, oh, that was like smarter than it needed to be bucket. Yeah. And then the other bucket is like, what the fuck are you doing, movie?
Right. I've been bringing up the writer a lot just because I've been hearing his words a lot.
It seems like he was a driving force for this movie. Yeah,
he was. And he did have a lot of like really smart ideas, him and his writing partner. But then they just throw in this stuff that doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever.
Do you mean like the fact that KM-14, the super high-tech android, her nipples keep falling off? Remember that great storyline?
That sort of thing.
That subplot?
Or where they're just like constantly like, he's fucking the robot. Just so you know. Like, you don't have to tell me. Like, allude to it or something, but you don't have to just be like, yeah, he's fucking...
The robot's into it, though, right? Like, it seemed like they have a gross relationship.
It was one of those, I programmed her to...
Yeah.
Like it. I think. Yeah. Or maybe I just made that up and thought, you know.
The actress who plays her reminds me of, like, a weird Kmart version of Bryce Dallas Howard or Jessica Chastain. Which, how funny would it be to see either of them play this weird Matrix sex robot?
Although she does a good job with what she's got.
Yeah.
The role that she has, she did a really good job.
She does robot well. She handles that terrible mushroom haircut as best as anybody could.
Yeah.
She gets after. I don't know.
I hate when I see things working against actors and they are just doing their absolute best.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, you can always see it, right? You can see when an actor's like, God damn it, I'm doing my best here. Yeah, like I'm really trying, guys. I want to put on a good show for you, but look what I have to work with.
Right. Look at what I have to work with.
Is that Batman?
It's Batman. Yeah.
Holy shit. Batman 89 has aged, in my mind, like a fine wine. That is literally a movie that was very cool at first and then kind of took a dip because like it leaned on Prince so heavily and for a while I was like not feeling that kind of music, and then enough time has passed where I'm like, well, first of all, Prince fucking rules.
Yeah.
And so does every other part of that movie.
You see, since I've seen that movie the first time, I've never not liked it. Like, nice. So I'm not a good judge of that sort of thing, whether it's aged. Like, I just
experience
love
with it.
Yeah.
It fucking rocks.
I will always love it, and I've always loved like since that movie, it was like, oh, Prince is cool.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, that was my
No, he's the shit. And they were now, 20 years on, 30 years on, 89.
89.
Yeah. In enough time has passed now where it's like, oh yeah, no, Prince is the shit.
Yeah.
They were absolutely right to basically make him the third star of the movie.
Prince had a rough period, like right after Batman, literally.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always liked it. It's just really cool.
It's dope as shit. It's extremely good.
Yeah. But now we're talking about Batman and not Jason.
Oops. I mean, it's
we do
basically
that.
the same movie.
Yeah.
They're almost identical movies. Like, let's be
I'm
honest.
just trying to connect it in my brain, and I really couldn't do it.
No, I actually don't know how we got to Batman. in hindsight,
I don't know either. I think
I don't know.
you brought it up.
I think we were talking.
I said, look at what I have to fuck with.
Oh yes.
So anyway,
So we jump 500 or so years into the future, and these cool looking or these people in these very cool looking early 2000s kind of spacesuits come down. And by early 2000s kind of spacesuits, I mean red leather trench coats with like spooky face masks on. They basically look like Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy.
before, yeah.
Yeah, like a decade and a half before that movie came out. So, but it's like, James Gunn, I guess Jason X is your favorite space movie. Is that what you're trying to tell us? Because message received, my
James
dog.
Gunn, he was like a bad movies like trauma guy.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
there's a legit chance that when James Gunn's thinking of space movies, he might not be thinking of Star Wars or Star Trek. He might have jumped straight to Alien and then Jason X.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I like that fiction.
I need to see more of his movies. James Gunn.
I have seen Slither, which is excellent. And I did see he did that live action Scooby-Doo film.
Well, I'm not gonna watch that one.
Well, let me tell you the best part of that then.
Please.
Because there is a flashback in that movie where they flash back to when Scrappy-Doo was part of the crew. And James Gunn, as most rational humans, fucking hates Scrappy-Doo and basically used his platform to take a big shit on Scrappy-Doo.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they make him a raging sociopath who keeps pissing on Daphne, and they throw him out in the desert. And then later, he's the villain of the movie.
Oh.
So it's kind of awesome.
Yeah, a revenge tale.
Yeah. Well, and also it's just funny to see a major studio handed James Gunn, several $1 million for him to be like, I fucking hate Scrappy-Doo. Yeah. For the next 90 minutes, I'm going to tell you about how much I fucking hate Scrappy-Doo. And I respect the shit out of that.
I was not expecting any part of that rant to happen.
Well, there you go.
I was not expecting to be Scooby-Doo or for you to have extended thoughts on the Scooby-Doo movie.
Yep. Welcome to Monsters
At every point in
Conquer
that,
the
I was
World.
just surprised.
Yeah, dude.
So I have nothing to say now.
Well, yeah, check out James Gunn movies.
Yeah, I'll do
good.
that.
Slither rules.
Yeah.
I think you would like Slither. Anyone listening to this, if you haven't seen Slither, give it a look. It's a really fun, gory, funny creature feature with Nathan Fillion and Elizabeth Banks, and they do great jobs.
They always do a great job.
They're wonderful.
Those guys do their best.
They sure just like
Yep.
KM14 doing her best. Potentially sans nipples. We don't know. We do literally have a scene where her nippers fall off, and I don't know why they showed us that.
Whatever.
To me, it's on par with, remember in Howard the Duck early on?
The duck boobs.
Duck boobs. Yeah, it's like that. It's like, I guess we're just looking at boobies. It's so upsetting. So in addition to a nippleless robot, on this spaceship Grendel, named after the Beowulf monster, and the main pod reminds me of the main pod on the 2001 spaceship. Did you notice that? The big orb with the little viewing window?
I think that was intentional.
I do too. And then later on, when Brodsky does the spacewalk, somebody does a spacewalk and puts on a it's for sure just the 2001 spacesuit.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was like, you go into this and you expect lots of alien references and aliens references, and we get a very bad Star Wars reference, but I didn't expect 2001 references, and I'm like, okay, movie,
What
very
came out
cool.
in 2001?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. Again, and that's the smart bucket. That's another thing that goes like,
Drop
God
that one in the
damn,
smart bucket. Yep.
goddamn, Jason X, like, why are you being smart on me?
Although, before we, like, I kind of like art that is half trash and half smart.
Oh,
know?
no, there's something, like, very special about that.
Yeah.
Like, I love this fucking movie.
The Jason series in general is sort of half trash the whole time.
Yep.
And that's why I think Jason X doesn't really stand out in a way, because every one of them is like a cheap cash grab.
Yeah.
Like, the first one's a cash grab. They
on Halloween.
They just
specifically.
picked a holiday.
Yeah.
It's not even a real good holiday.
It's not a holiday. Halloween came out and made a shit zillion dollars.
Yeah.
So these guys said, okay, what's another spooky day? Friday the 13th.
That's kind of what I love about this series is my expectations are never that high.
Right. It's junk food, and it's not afraid of the fact that it's junk food. And if you're in the mood for junk food, guess what? That shit is delicious.
That's what's wonderful about it.
Also, just straight up, Jason is like one of my favorite fictional characters of all time. I like him better than Michael Myers. I just think he's really cool and scary.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that going for it too. I think they kind of accidentally backed into an iconic character, because like he's not even in the first one really.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. Like every movie, they're like, "We're still trying to figure this out."
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But and then they build off that.
Yeah.
It's all this temporary kind of cobbled
Right.
together stuff, and then the movie comes out, and then the next movie's like, this rickety cobbled together bullshit. That's our foundation on which we will build, and that's why it spirals out of control in this magical kind of way. Because he's a dead baby. Then he's a living, just adult man.
Yeah.
Then he dies. Then he comes back, and it's the magic of unflinching canon. They never, at no point in these movies did they try to say like, oh well, that didn't really happen, or that was actually this, or that was actually that. They look at their past, warts and all, and say, no, fuck it, like that's all part of continuity.
Right. It's
so
not like Terminator where they're like, okay, we're going to start over after 2 again.
Just constantly undoing and redoing stuff. And by cobbling all this shit together, you end up with this. Jason ends up kind of by accident being this amazing character, because it's like every time they bring him back, it's kind of like, oh shit, like that guy came back. And by the time you get to X, he's this crazy powerhouse that the US government was like, we don't understand this. It's trash, but it adds up to something really special.
Yeah.
It's the best movie in the universe.
Weren't we talking about nipples falling off?
Yeah, and we will forever, because
Jeez, we are getting derailed really easily with this one.
What do you mean?
Because we both have full ideas of what these movies should be.
Yeah.
Or are what they are.
Right. I was going to say, if you want to ask me what Jason X should be,
we don't want to even get into should.
That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
It's fucking atrocious that he never gets a lightsaber machete in this movie.
Yeah.
This movie teeters on it plays it dumb, understandably, but it never like commits hardcore to dumbness. It kind of like is like, well, we're kind of dumb, but we're kind of not.
I do think it's at least in large part because they kept rewriting it.
Absolutely.
That it became so muddled.
I think that is, it's got to be the case. 100%.
Yeah. Even though the writer was there rewriting it, your own writing is going to get muddled.
Yeah.
Because other people are going to have requests of you. And, he kept his hands on it, but it's still, like, there's only so much you can do.
I just got to wonder, like, what was being rewritten? Because as far as Friday the 13th movie goes, This one has like the least amount of MPAA violence cuts. Like they only had to shave off a couple seconds here and there. It's not like poor Part 7, which is my favorite fucking one, but the MPAA had an axe to grind and basically made them cut all the blood out of that one.
Yeah, I didn't like that one as much as some of the other ones.
No, it really the violence is important. It's a slasher movie. The violence matters. It's not just gratuitous. I mean, it is gratuitous, but it's also part of the story.
And it's part of the emotional experience.
Yes. It's supposed to be horrifying, and that's how they express horror is this very visceral and gruesome kind of way. But thankfully, Jason X don't skimp on that shit. We talked about the freezer head slam. I'm also and this one doesn't get mentioned as much, but I'm a huge fan of the kill. I think it's just a random commando, but Jason kind of breaks him over the hand railing and then throws him over, and he lands on a giant drill bit and slowly rotates down, and it's hilarious. And then it gets undercut by one of the teens being like, he's screwed. And it's like, no, he's drilled.
Okay, so
but
I think they added that line.
Sure.
And then they were like trying to figure out whether it stayed in or not. And
Right.
It was like test audiences liked it.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, yeah, but who cares if they like it?
Right. I think just the
You're
visual
like
of
paying
this
them a little bit to be there. They're going to be like, ha ha.
Very good joke.
Yeah, they're in a great mood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you paid me to watch a movie, my God.
Do they pay test audience? I should look into that.
I think they throw them a few bucks.
Do they? Okay.
But I don't think it's not like a full-time job.
Right, but still, you'd be in a pretty decent mood.
Oh, yeah. And just getting to see a movie before everyone else has its own little thrill to it.
Uh-huh.
Like, ooh, this is a secret one just for me.
Yep.
There
Sign
are
that NDA.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, man. I could never be in a test audience though, because I would tell them some weird shit and skew it, and a very weird movie would come out if they listened to me.
That's why I don't trust test audiences for anything. It's like they didn't pay to get in here. They're not like an interested party. Like,
right.
But anyway, what are the other kills?
I mean, well, there are those standout kills, but beyond that, like the drill bit and the head freeze are fantastic. I gotta be on. Well, and there's a back break, and I mostly perked up at the back break because that's in the game. Like full stop.
Right.
He does like he breaks the guy's back over his knee and throws him, and the exact animation is in the game, which that's pretty cool.
Doesn't he cut someone down the middle in this one?
He does. That might be during the holodeck sequence though, because if you remember, and
then they kind of come back.
Yeah. It's interesting that I liked that there was a holodeck in this, or holodeck. I realize I'm big at holodeck, but the
Open the windows.
Right, potatoes.
Yeah.
Have some potatoes. But the holodeck is interesting. One, just having it at all is like a fun twist, and they have some real fun with it later. I guess that's one of the other really good kills is when they create this diversion for Jason to kill some time. So they boot up this very over the top version of 1980s Crystal Lake, and these two ladies pop out and they're like, "Hey, want to have premarital sex? Want to smoke a doober? Want to underage drink? And then they awkwardly back into the sleeping bags. And then Jason, and this is a kill that got cut down from Part 7, the infamous sleeping bag kill, and they just fucking cranked it to not even 11. They cranked it to 37 for this one. He's just slamming one sleeping bag full of girl into another sleeping bag full of girl, and then against the tree.
And then the tree. Yeah.
And since they're holograms that don't really process pain, they're like, ow, ow, ooh, ouchie, ooh, ow.
That's got to be so great for him in turn. Like, maybe great, but also he's not actually getting the kill, you know?
Right. And he figures it out, right? Like, he kind of...
Yeah.
He puts together. Jason has this interesting sort of animal cunning, where like you can fool him for a little bit, but he does the undead hamster in the wheel of his mind does start shambling, and he's like, "Wait, no."
That is probably my favorite kill personally.
It's extremely good.
Because because it got cut from 7, and they, like that was my problem with 7 is it doesn't give you at least what I really want,
Well, and that the 6 movies before it gave you in spades,
right?
Like, it's
there, a precedent has been set, and it didn't really meet that.
Yeah, it got gutted. Like it's PG-13 level tame.
What year did that come out?
Part 7, I think, was 88 or 89.
Okay,
they were pretty close to cranking them out one a year.
Yeah, I don't really recall, but there was the whole parents were really cracking down on like media back then, which is kind of like what has snowballed into the violent video game thing that we're going through and have been going through now.
Fucking again. I cannot believe
it never
trotted out that old chestnut. Yeah, that's true.
I'm saying it just never went away. It was TV and music and movies, and like let's rate everything and I don't know.
Well, I think ratings are fine. I think that's kind of a good idea.
I think it's a good
good
idea
to know
too.
what you're getting into.
I think that's perfectly fine. But they always just go out of their way to make it into like, music was making your kids crazy. They want to kill themselves because this guy mentioned suicide in passing. Right.
Yeah, they blow it out of proportion.
Records going backwards and
that's the satanic panic bullshit, which is extremely fascinating and ridiculous to me.
But I think at that same time they would have been looking at Jason like, could you not slam a teenage girl in a sleeping bag against a tree until she is dead?
It's like, that's the nature of the movie, dog.
Yeah, we could not do that, but you haven't been here for the first 6 movies.
Yeah, right.
Like, you checked out, and now you take an interest.
Yeah, you didn't have a problem when we put a fucking arrowhead through Kevin Bacon's chest. Very graphically.
Yeah, and he looked like a baby in that movie.
Oh yeah, no, he was like 18. Yeah, no, you were fine with that, but no. And I actually will say, in a way, with the sleeping bag kill in part 7, it just being the one thunk against the tree, and then it stops, is kind of more upsetting, because that just implies instant, like, that's more realistic.
I don't think it's the one thunk. I think it's when they cut it.
Okay.
You know, because they cut it really quickly.
Right.
And there's no time afterwards to process what had happened. Like, what's really horrifying in movies, say if he did one thunk with that sleeping bag against the tree and then dropped her on the ground and just, like, left it.
Yep.
And you have to sit there and, like, look at her for a second.
Right.
And that would fuck me up.
Yeah.
That would stick with me.
It's almost, the Friday the 13th movies are a little cartoonish and a little like over the top. That would almost be
realistic.
Too real.
Yeah.
and
let it be like an actual killer, like, sitting there with the body afterwards, like, man, that was great.
God. Oh, yeah. That's when you cross the line from Jason Voorhees into Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right.
Where it's just like, yep. Great. I did it. Feels good.
Yeah.
And then Jason X, you got this very cartoonish variation on that where he's just whacking sleeping bag to sleeping bag. Like, ow.
Sorry. No, it's just really good. I like that kill.
It's wonderful. And what's funny is one of my first experiences with Jason X, other than the ad campaign and making fun of it because I was a bitchy teenager. Oh, that looks so dumb. Why is it dumb?
I'm sure I made fun of it. I make fun of everything.
Right. But I didn't appreciate things that were over the top or things that were ridiculous when I was that age. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because you're trying to move on from wacky stuff, wacky kid stuff.
Right.
And you're like trying too hard to prove that you're like, I don't like that stuff.
It's like when middle schoolers rip on Barney. It's like, well, dog, Barney's not for you, man. Leave him the fuck alone.
Right.
What did he do to you?
Like, what are you trying to prove? Like, I know you don't like Barney. You're in fucking middle school. Who gives a shit?
Let him sing about the alphabet, dog.
Right. Just fucking leave him alone. He's not doing anything to you.
And you know who ripped on Barney in middle school? Me. Because that was the shitty phase I was in.
Legit though, if I had a kid who watched Barney, I would be fucking in pain.
Oh yeah, no, it's pretty like
Yeah,
as someone who
that
likes
was a
like
terrible
cartoons
show.
and kids shows, that's a bad one.
Yeah, that was a real bad show.
It's not Sesame Street or Mr. Rogers. It ain't.
But it was for, I think, tiny children.
Real little kids.
Yeah.
Like kids that maybe just aged out of Teletubbies.
Right.
Could move on to Barney.
Yeah.
Remember Teletubbies? Real quick.
I was thinking of Teletubbies the whole time that you were like
Talking about Barney?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another primo example, too, of a shitty 6th grader being like, ugh, Teletubbies, that's so stupid.
Teletubbies though were kind of dope.
It's super
Like,
trippy. Like,
yeah.
I think with the right, perhaps chemical or herbal supplements, that could be an amazing time.
Yeah. I'm
That
sure they're all on
Sun Baby?
YouTube.
Oh yeah, they gotta be. Remember the Tinky? Sorry, this will be my last. Remember this?
Yeah,
Remember
we've
the
been going
'90s?
for a long time.
All right, I'm just gonna say real quick. Remember Tinky Winky? Right wingers were mad because they thought
It
maybe
looked-
he was gay. That's all.
It looked like a dick on his head. That's why they thought that.
Well, and he was purple, and he carried a purse, and he had, I don't know why, I was just reading about this again, and his emblem was an upside-down triangle, which is a noted gay pride symbol.
Well, but these guys always look for like symbols. They're all into symbols.
no.
And it's like the liberals are hiding.
They're fucking insane.
Yeah, and
Leave
it's like, no,
Tinky
dude,
Winky alone.
we don't fucking work like that. We tell you if we're gay or not.
Right.
You know, like,
Right.
we don't, you know?
If we wanted to have a gay character in the show, we would just say, here's our gay character in the show.
Right. People are not fighting for the right to, like, secretly be gay. They, you know?
No, they kind of got to do that for the last couple thousand
Yeah.
years.
We're not fighting for the right to hide our symbols in media
Right.
and take your children away from you.
I guess that's a projection thing, huh?
That's a
isn't it?
big time fucking projection
because
thing.
somebody likes to hide their symbols and stuff, and it's not the lefties.
Yes. And I don't want to get into the Da Vinci
Let's-
Code right now, but I think...
Very good.
Okay.
Very good. So I mean, I don't know, what is there to say about this movie? You got futuristic space college kids. They like to fuck. Sometimes it's with a nippleless robot. Sometimes it's not. If Jason hates anything, it's college kids who fuck. So he gets up, he goes on this great rampage. He goes against a space commando team, very aliens of them. He slaughters them because Jason's gonna Jason. I will say, we were talking about like the clunky dog shit lines in this movie, but
Yeah.
there were two specific jokey lines that I literally laughed
There's
out
some
loud
good
at
ones.
on purpose. One of them was the pilot, who's kind of a gross trucker type, and they're talking about like, and somebody's talking with him like, oh yeah, we found this frozen guy and this frozen girl, and he's like, ooh, a girl, huh? And he makes like some generically kind of sleazy comments, but then he ends it with, I'm so lonely.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that
Yeah.
feels very real. An accident, maybe. But I laughed at that. And then Brodsky, again, the guy who has like this great Tony Todd kind of vibe. He's like a badass commando, and Jason stabs him through the belly, through a wall. And he's like, oh, it's going to take more than a poke in the ribs to take me down. And then another thing stabs through the wall. And he's like, yep, that'll do it.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
I hope when I die I can have that sort of...
Like that funny
Yeah.
of a death line.
Right.
Yeah. It's great.
No, there are some... we always tend to focus on the negative because it's more fun to...
It's easier to
pick
talk
at.
about, but
Yeah, no, there's definitely some good lines, great kills.
yeah. There's some good like drama too, because after things have fully gotten fucked, the survivors are running to a shuttle, and they're like, okay, we're gonna get on the shuttle and we're just gonna bounce. And Kinza, the girl who her boyfriend got stabbed right after they were done doinking,
Yeah.
she's like the most freaked out and the most kind of shell shocked by this. So when they're running, something happens where the group needs to split up, but she's like, fuck it. Sorry guys, I'm leaving. And she gets in the shuttle, and she's so panicky and freaked out that she doesn't disengage the umbilical and crashes it. There's little stuff like that. Like they're
Which I consider that understandable. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people would be frustrated with a person doing that in a movie, but I think that's real.
Well, and they did a good job of establishing that as her character. Like they made her panicky and freaked out, and that just felt like kind of the natural payoff to that. And then of course it ups the stakes for the remaining survivors in an interesting way. And then there's also about halfway through the movie, they decide, okay, we're gonna dock with the Solaris space station. That's another sci-fi reference they snuck in there. They're like, yeah, we're gonna dock with the space station. They've got like 7 teams of commandos. This will be fine, guys. Everybody chill. It's gonna be fine. And then Jason, of course, kills the gross pilot, and then they just fucking crash through the space station, and it's pretty awesome. Like. There's a lot of CGI, and it's early 2000s low budget CGI, so it's not great, but it's not bad either.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think some of it might have been miniatures because like the explosions look really good.
Right. I think it's one of those things like by that time in the movie you're used to it being sort of like a TV show quality, so you're like, holy shit. But like if it were like a feature film, you wouldn't be like.
Right. If it came out now, it wouldn't be impressive.
It'd be right there at passable, but because it's like the rest of the movie is like kind of lower budget, you're like it's really impressive.
Yeah.
To see how they used what they had.
Yeah.
Because they really did do a good job within the limitations. I think they like made this movie without anyone to sell it to. If I'm remembering correctly, some sort of
without like a distributor,
some sort of business like that, where they had to like find someone to buy the movie after they'd already made it.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I wish I should have made a note of that. If you're really fucking interested, you can look that up, I guess. But it's too much. There's honestly like too much information. That came my way when researching this. That like you make a decision like what am I going to actually like make a note of? And,
right. Oh yeah. No. I'm with you on that, and I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did a bunch of research too, because I think we kind of ended up hitting different stuff.
I think we did. We did.
So that
we had a good variation,
like a good mix of shit, and it's very different from like when we do these Godzilla and Gamera movies. Like information on those are kind of sparse because they weren't made here.
Yeah.
And the information you can find, some of it's going to be apocryphal because it's just maybe it got translated wrong or maybe somebody just heard wrong. There was, for a long time, there was a rumor that there were in the 70s, Toho was going to make Godzilla versus the Devil as a response to like things like The Exorcist.
Okay.
And for years, and I don't think I was the only fan. I think there are a lot of fans who are like, oh, that was a thing they were working on and decided not to. Total bullshit. It was never in the works.
Made up.
Just made up. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's very refreshing to look at a movie like Jason X where not only is there a lot of information about the making of it, it's like
there are people who like won't shut up about it.
Right. Yeah. Our boy Todd Farmer
it's great.
will talk our ears off about it.
I like the guy, by the way. I have my critiques of his writing style, but I think he's like, if you listen to him talk, like he's a pretty cool dude.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Hang out with him.
The DVD is also very nostalgic. It's a very early 2000s with the menus, and instead of a section called special features, it's called like all access pass. Like it was this branded experience.
Well, apparently it was one of the earlier DVDs that actually had stuff on it.
Yeah.
Like
I believe
useful they really wanted to sell this DVD, so they put a lot of extra features on it. And so one of those things is the commentary, which is I got a few things from it, but then it quickly devolves into the director and the writer just being an old married couple.
Like bickering?
Like light jabs at each other constant, and it's like,
okay, that sounds kind of awesome.
It's not. It doesn't quite reach awesome.
Okay.
But it is kind of like, oh, well.
It's more of a bummer.
It's kind of fun at first, and then it becomes a bummer because they keep doing it.
You mentioned DVDs, and this being an early DVD. There's a line kind of early on when they first secure Jason and Rowan, and Lowe, who is this movie's Paul Reiser character, using the Aliens comparison.
Right.
Lowe is talking to this guy that he's going to basically sell the Jason body to. And the guy's like, what is it, another crate of DVDs? And I was like, oh, that's like a bold joke to make at the dawn of DVDs, guys. When
Right,
you're presumably trying to sell your Jason X DVD.
And then how much later did they do Fast and the Furious? And it's like they're stealing DVD players.
Fast and the Furious 1 might have been the same year.
Really?
2001 or 2, yeah.
DVD players. Wow.
Woo. Remember? Oh, God, that's so funny. I know I promised to not do another Remember When, so I'm cutting that one off. Too many Remember Whens. It's turning into...
We're at the near the close anyway. So,
yes. Well, and that Chris Farley sketch where he had an interview show and he would have a big star on and he would just go, hey, remember when you did...
You remember when you said, the love you take is equal to the love you make? Is that true?
So yeah, I'm trying not to turn into Chris Farley in that exact sketch, but sometimes it's hard. I wish Lowe had been played by Chris Parnell. I think he would have fucking crushed that role. Yeah. And it couldn't have cost a lot to get 2001 Chris Parnell in a movie.
Well, he wouldn't have quite been Chris Parnell like we know him now.
That's true. You would need like 2004 or 5 Chris Parnell to time travel back to this movie to be perfect in it. Because he would have been a...
Well, he might have been the same, but he wouldn't have the name recognition.
Oh, sure. You know? So yeah, he'd be even cheaper to get. But they wanted those cheap Toronto local actors. all those future stars of Andromeda. Yeah. I don't know, Ralph, what else do you want to talk about with this movie? We kind of jumped around.
I covered my stuff.
You hit all your notes?
Yeah.
They do so in with all the myriad other like sci-fi references they make, when the commandos are suiting up, Brodsky's like, basically asking what everybody's packing, and one of them says they have the BFG, which Doom fans will recognize. I thought that was pretty cool.
The big freaking gun.
The big freaking gun. I thought that was a fun name drop. The holodeck diversion at the end, there was an earlier draft of that, which the casting director and actual director both hated that scene and didn't want it in because it was initially a much longer, more titty-filled scene. And they're like, oh my God, can we not just have a huge titty scene? Can we just make a fucking movie? And they...
It is not very imaginative. You can do all kinds of things with a holodeck and you're just like, yeah, well, tits.
Well, the idea was that they wanted to throw Jason into an environment that would keep him busy.
Right.
Vis-a-vis horny teens at a summer camp. But I guess originally it was going to have like a big beach volleyball sequence, and it was ridiculous. But they also wanted to get Betsy Palmer to come back and have a cameo as Pamela Voorhees in that scene. And they wanted Jason to like attack her to show how like evil Jason had become.
Yeah.
And so like ultimately I'm kind of like, it would have been cool to see
I think
Pamela
that would have been
again.
I think that would have been great.
Yeah. But I don't know how I feel about Jason gunning for her. Like that feels kind of off to me.
Because the Uber Jason being just like the absolute extreme Jason, and just I
guess that makes sense. Yeah, if it's specific, it's Uber Jason that's in. It's so fun. Why didn't they? I can't believe they didn't go with like Cyber Jason.
He's in the script as Uber Jason.
He sure is. Yeah. All the material calls him Uber Jason, which is magical. I don't know. It's a wonderful movie. It's a perfect film.
But I mean, I feel like the ending drags.
Oh
where it's
no!
Just like, okay, well he's in the holodeck, and then when he gets out, it's just like he's chasing him, unrelenting. And then what is he? He goes out the airlock.
They blow him out the airlock, and
he still comes back.
Yeah, he gets back in for a second, and then they blow him out another airlock or something, and Brodsky sacrifices himself. He crashes into him, and they go rocketing down to Earth 2 looking like a shooting star. Horny teens see it, like, let's go check it out.
And then they land in a lake.
Fun. Yeah, into a presumably crystal lake, perhaps.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you 100% though. I would say the whole third act kind of drags.
It's really tough.
It runs out of juice or something.
Yeah,
because it's
I know that
so fun for a while.
Well, yeah, it's another case of it not knowing what it wants to be because they really want to extend this ending and make you tense, and because it's sort of unearned.
Yeah.
As you know, the first 2/3 of the movie, it's comedy or it's like crazy kills. There's no like real tension or like or a great connection to these characters at the end where you're like really concerned with will they get away or not.
Yeah.
It's just people running away from Jason.
And they're all kind of cartoonish people, aren't they? Like they don't really establish great personalities. Even
yes and no. They're not, I mean they're like sketches of people. I wouldn't say cartoon, but you know, like they're not fully fleshed out.
I feel like there's not enough to grab onto with these characters. Like, because even other Friday the 13th movies, this is the nerdy one, this is the jock, this is the one that likes to party, this is the one that doesn't. And I feel like we don't even really get that with these characters.
You get you get little hints, but not enough.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't really need much to establish what a character is, but you got to do it right.
You got to have a little something.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the most we get was that the kid with dreads was kind of a goober. Like that was about it.
Yeah. I'm the nerdy guy. You see a lot more of him because they really want to drive home that he's banging that robot.
That's true. Yeah, they kind of flesh him out. There is a really weird. One of the characters is named, I think, Janessa, and I think she's supposed to be kind of the mean girl or kind of the bitchy type.
Okay.
But they do early on when they're showing Rowan around the ship. They go to the lab. Do you remember this? There's a lab with like tubes with alien creatures in them, like little green goblins and shit.
Yeah.
And the nerdy robot fucker is like, these are Janessa's love children. And that's the only explanation we get of these fucking things.
I think that's a joke, right?
Oh no, of course it's a joke.
Okay.
Like there's some kind of like science experiment or something, but like,
I mean, who knows though? Maybe.
Right. No, maybe she pooped them out.
Yeah.
But it's such a buck wild thing to throw into this movie offhandedly. Whenever there's a space movie or like a future movie like this, one of the questions that's rattling around in my mind as a viewer is like, oh, I wonder if aliens exist in this world. I wonder if they've made first contact or anything. It always it's not like a big pressing concern. It's not like I go into a movie and be like, well, they didn't say if they met aliens or not. But like when you show me a wall of goblins and then just move on, like, are they genetic experiments that Janessa's been doing? Did they scoop up some aliens on their way to Earth 1?
Yeah, she is like a researcher. She could be making them, or growing them.
Yeah, but they get blown up later anyway.
Yeah, whatever.
So,
fuck them.
It's fine. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to throw out that very strange thing that happens and isn't really expounded upon.
We should wrap up now.
Ralph, I have 400 more pages of notes that I would like to talk to you in extensive detail.
Well, we have 3 more episodes.
I'm
to
kidding,
record
Ralph.
3.5.
I'm joshing with you, Ralph. What are your final thoughts on J-Songs? Excuse me, Jason 10. I'm sorry, Jason X.
I like it.
And scene.
No, it's great.
I mean, it's not the deepest shit in the world.
Super fun watch.
Yeah.
That's what I mean when I say great. I have fun every time I watch it. The least fun that I had was watching it with the commentary.
Totally.
Just because, like, I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I want to hear it. I don't need to see these guys or hear these guys talking.
It's with a movie like this. And
I shouldn't even bother to say that. Like, it's just the least fun that I've had. But what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say a movie like this, and I think slasher movies in general, to me, the most interesting commentary behind the scenes stuff is either like the legal battles, which this has in the name and rights to the character. And then my other favorite behind the scenes part is of course the practical effects, because slasher movies always have a pretty high number of practical effects.
I liked hearing that like Kane Hodder's a nice guy and he in how they do the stunts, and it's like the actor basically propels themselves into a countertop if it, that
That's
sort
awesome.
of thing. Like he just holds your head, and
nice,
and then they
nice.
just push their face into it.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
Like one of the stunt guys broke his nose.
Because but it was
Yeah.
on him. It wasn't Kane's
and it was just
fault.
it was all his.
That's awesome.
It
That
is-
rules.
It's very cool.
That rules so much.
But no, I like this movie a whole lot. Like I love to pick at it because it's so silly. It's got a lot of,
it's real
Yeah.
goofy, and
but that's part of why I love it.
it's a feature, not a bug. It is this way by
Yes,
design.
It's a feature, not a bug. What do you do you think about it?
I'm in a similar camp. I think it's a lot more fun than it gets credit for. I think it's a little smarter than it gets credit for.
Yep, both. True.
I think it's kind of I've started thinking of it as the Starship Troopers effect, where people see a movie that looks dumb and just assume it's extremely dumb and has nothing to say.
I still haven't seen Starship Troopers again, and I thought it was dumb when it came out.
Okay.
I know I know I was wrong. I
No,
just
no,
haven't
no.
seen it again.
No, it's fine. Here's the issue with Starship Troopers. It was a parody of the War on Terror before the War on Terror happened. So it was a parody that came out before its source material.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it seems so dumb.
So we couldn't have even known how smart it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Paul Verhoeven knew though. And I think if you haven't watched it recently, watch it now and watch it with the knowledge that it is in-universe propaganda. Because holy shit, that movie is way smarter than it gets credit for.
Between that and RoboCop, like
Yeah. Paul Verhoeven knows what the fuck is up.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
we should
man
just
is
be
smart.
asking him what to do next.
Yeah.
Paul,
Hey, Paul.
what do you think about the world right now?
Maybe that's why he's like retired. He's like, I
Yeah.
can't spoof this anymore.
This is
It's
too
too
fucked up."
stupid. I gotta quit. But yeah, so this movie is much more fun and a tiny bit smarter than it gets credit for. I think this is a perfect have some friends over and crack a couple beers kind
Yep.
of horror movie. You can laugh at it and laugh with it, and yeah, I do think my big beef with it is that I wish it was a little bit dumber.
I wish it was either dumber or smarter.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't say I wish it was a little dumber. I wish it was a little more over the top.
It's pretty over the top.
it's
I just wish it would commit to
Yes.
a direction.
That's what it is. It's trying to have it
Yeah.
both ways, I think.
Now here's a question that I really want the answer to.
Okay.
Where does it rank among the 10 Jason movies?
Ooh, that's
Really hard.
it is
I know.
very tough. I would say first of all, I have a weird Jason ranking because I fucking love Part 7 even though it got neutered. I'm a big Part 7 fan.
Yeah, I mean,
I like the story of Part 7 a lot. And that has my favorite Jason. To me,
Right.
that is the gnarliest, most badass looking Jason, where his teeth are exposed. He's got the chain around his neck.
yeah.
He's get his ribs and shit poke through the back. Like, that's fucking dope, Jason.
He's wet.
He's wet all the time.
All the time.
It's like I think human Jason is a scarier creature. But when it comes to the zombie Jasons, Part 7 to me is the most badass looking Jason.
Yeah, as far as the creature, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, it is really cool looking.
Yeah.
But
So to
I'm-
answer your question,
Yeah.
I would put, all things considered, I would put Jason X probably high middle. I don't have an exact number ranking for them because it kind of shifts around.
Yeah.
But to give you an idea, like the 2009 remake, I thought was more solid than it got credit for. I would also put that in high middle.
I'm just saying the first 10.
Oh, sure. Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I would say. Well, so yeah, that
Still
takes-
high middle, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but slightly higher middle. Like my tippy top is like Part 7 and Part 4. Those are my two faves. I
Okay.
think. And so Jason X is not too far from them.
I'm thinking I didn't actually have an answer to my own question. But I would say working from the bottom,
Yeah,
in no particular order, I would put, for me, 7 near the bottom,
understandable.
8 near the
honestly.
bottom, maybe 9, but I have a soft spot for 9. As weird as it is,
9's cool.
it's kind of cool, but I still think it's kind of lower.
There's a really
grade.
I love the bounty hunter character in
Uh-huh.
in 9. Like there's that 9 is another one where there's like cool shit in it, but the whole package doesn't quite add up for me.
Yeah. I think for me, even though it's really solid, I think 3 would be down there too. But so that's
Sure.
an easier way for me to sort of rank this,
Yeah.
and I would probably put it near 6
Okay.
out of 10.
Yeah.
You know,
That's legit.
there's probably
Like,
5 that I like better.
yeah. Cool, man. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Dude.
and it sounds like we're around the same. You're maybe high
Yep.
middle, and I'm lower middle.
Yep,
Yeah.
I think we're in a similar ballpark in that respect.
Yeah.
I think I will forever be the fucking weirdo Friday the 13th fan for putting 7 at number 1, though. I can't imagine anyone puts
yeah.
it that high.
Just to put, I judge no one for what their favorite Friday the 13th is because I love them all.
Yeah, same. Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
There's no other like horror series that has gone on this long where I legit love all of the movies.
Yep.
It's never happened.
Absolutely. I'm 100% in the same boat with you. I would say the only thing that comes close is Nightmare on Elm Street, but there's not as many entries in that one.
Yeah, there's 6
Something like that. And then I didn't see the remake.
in the remake. I didn't see
I
that
heard
either.
that was pretty bad.
But I didn't count the remake. Anyway.
We're
are
getting
not
in
as
the
many.
weeds.
Yeah.
We're getting in the weeds here. So yeah, that's Jason X.
Yeah.
We did it. We talked about it.
And yeah, this was Shelley's episode.
That's
Shelley,
right.
Gave us extra money to do this episode, and Shelley, I hope that you are satisfied with it.
If
I
not,
don't know
tell
what
us.
Matt thinks,
I
but
can
I
take
hope
it.
that you're satisfied.
I hope that
Yeah.
too, Ralph.
Okay.
Throwing me under the goddamn bus.
I just want you to speak for yourself.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
Shelley is a superstar and became a Godzilla level patron. And when you do that, you get to pick what we talk about for an episode. We've actually got another one of these coming down the pike a little
Yep.
later. Riccio has also mutated into a full blown Godzilla, and
we can say what it is, right?
Hmm?
We can just say what it is.
Oh yeah,
right?
it's the $25 level.
No.
Oh.
The movie that he chose.
Yeah, Colossal. I was
Yeah.
about to.
I've never seen this.
I haven't either, and I've been meaning to. And based on what I know about it, Ralph, I think you will dig it.
It seems like it, just from what you two have said about it, it seems like something I would like.
It is definitely a kaiju movie with something going on behind the eyes. There's some meatier ideas thrown around in
Mhm.
that. So
I love to just chew on a movie.
oh yeah, dude, get that shit stuck between your teethers.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pick it out later with
Yes.
a little toothpick, and then
That-
you chew up that little piece that comes out.
That's how I like it.
Just like that. But yeah, so thank you, Shelley. You the shit.
The bonus is low key for Shelley too, and also just for me.
We're
doing that.
It's for all of us because we're going to tackle a specter that's been looming over the
Yeah.
podcast since its inception.
Yep. I think that I might actually release this bonus as like just release it in the wild, see
Yeah.
what happens.
I think that's a great idea. I
We'll
love
see how
that,
it
Ralph.
turns out, but yeah,
Yeah, it could take a turn.
it might be too controversial for the public.
Oh my god! Is it gonna be more controversial, air
It's-
quotes,
it's
than the
not
Bigfoot episode?
No, it's not like it's not NC-17 or above
okay.
or X.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. So yeah, stick around for that. Ralph, I want to thank you for our theme song, Harkzilla, and also for all the editing and producing that you do. You the best.
No, you're welcome.
And yeah, just of course, gotta rethink our brave and bold patrons. Just like veteran submarine captains, they will get us through enemy territory alive.
Okay.
Also,
That's
be
a
sure
good
to
one.
what?
I just like that one. That's
Cool.
a good one.
Yeah, I was pleased with that. Be sure to visit monstersconquertheworld.com for more monster mashing, kaiju crushing chaos.
Matt's 7,000 word per post blog. Like, check it out if you are into this stuff. It's
Yeah,
goes
coming
deep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Too deep, perhaps, but
Yeah.
people read it. It's crazy to
It's
me. Like
amazing.
I check the stats every once in a while. I'm like, oh my god, some guy in Malaysia read my shit.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It makes me really happy. You can follow us on Twitter at Monsters Conquer. We also have a Facebook group, facebook.com/Monsters Conquer the World. MonstersConquerTheWorld.com also has the open invite to our Discord, so you can pop in there and yak with us about shit. A lot of crab memes lately, and that's been a lot of fun.
Loving it. Keep them coming.
Please more crab content. That crab tent that I crave. But yeah, jump in there and yak with us about shit. Ralph, you run Hellscape. What's new with Hellscape?
We are gonna release another album soon that I have not announced yet, but it's coming. The latest that we have released is FDSDF still. That is like on your keyboard. Just on your left hand.
It took me a minute to figure that out. Yeah. That's good. It's good shit. The music is badass.
It is very cool.
It rules.
I'm very happy with it. We still have a few tapes left. So, are we at the thank yous for listenings? I think so. Yeah. I know we've talked about the patrons a lot, but I always, I don't know. I want to hit it hard. Well, our friend Richard has been having health troubles. Get well soon, buddy. Richard. Okay, Ralph. Yeah. I don't care if you're a believer or not, but what I want you to do right now is to channel all of your psychic energy. Yeah. And we're going to put it out into the room. The mics are going to pick it up, and they're going to blast it into Richard's ears, and it's probably going to cure him, okay? Okay. So you ready? I want to point out, Ralph and I did not make any sound during that. So anything that you heard was raw psychic energy. Ghostesses. So. But yeah, if you like what you hear and you want to purge your body thetans, go to www.patreon.com/monstersconquer. You can become a patron. Like we talked about, if you hit the Godzilla level, you can pick the topic of an episode. At any level, you get access to a super secret Discord lounge. And at the $5 level, you get access to our top secret forbidden shadow episodes. So jump in there. And you know what, though? Oh, no. If you can't become a paid patron, there's a ton of things you can do to blast our spot that we would appreciate. You can subscribe, rate, share us on social media, tell your friends, or build a complete operational and anatomically correct android of Ralph. Yeah. Nipples or not. Wasn't it a big old statue last time? Yeah. Yeah, this is a thing now. Yeah. It is. Create effigies of Ralph. Well, no, it's a running gag. It is. Yeah. Yeah. So Ralph, let's shine a light on that shadow episode.